Welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name's Jordan Mill.
I am Nate Balding.
And I am Roger Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by the Monstroco Museum of Betrayal. This museum and art space boasts over 450 depictions of history's greatest turncoats, from Benedict Arnold to that guy from Bob's Burgers who stormed the Capitol. No act of historical cravenness can escape the watchful docents at the MMB. And who's this in the final room? Why, it's you, betrayer of your younger self and the hopes and dreams they once held so dear. What punishment awaits you? Only one way to find out. Get tickets now. The Monstroco Museum of Betrayal by Monstroco. What the? How am I in here? Why am I in here? That's what I said. That was a live quote from me. Getting into the final room at the Monstroco Museum of Betrayal. It was incredible. Bring someone with you. They will betray you. Oh, I slayed them.
Oh!
Yeah. You have to defeat them some way or another.
I just mocked mine. I should probably go back in there and bring the sword.
I slayed the child, and then I ate the heart and became him. It's fun. It's fun for the whole fam, honestly.
Sounds like real life Dark Souls.
It's like having one of those real weird trips where you're in the moment, you're screaming and gnashing of teeth and tearing of flesh, and then the next day you're like, I feel great. I feel like I've been
really
working
worked
out.
some stuff out. Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, can I go first? I got a weird one. Usually throughout the week, I kind of try to, I'll take the skull. Hang on. You got to clear the spit valve on the skull, guys.
Yeah.
Just.
That's my bad. I forgot.
I hate to be that roommate, but.
Gotta wet your reed before you shove it inside the skull.
God. I usually like to, throughout the week, kind of bookmark something strange that happened. And I did want to mention there's some very interesting photos of what people think to be a Japanese wolf that was suspected to have gone extinct in 1910, I believe.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like the pictures are so clear. It's like, yeah, I see that dog. And then like they showed them to scientists and they were like, this is maybe a wolf, a Japanese wolf, or maybe a wolf dog. They're very clear, great pictures. And it's like, boy, if any cryptid had this type of photography, any other one, we'd be like, oh, well, that answers that. I didn't really find a lot this week, and I was sitting here and I was like, what am I going to talk about for Werewolf Radar this week? And I looked up at the page and there was like an advertisement for like a trip to some tropical zone to scuba dive, and there was an octopus on it. And I was like, Octopus Man. And I just typed Octopus Man into Google, and it's a fucking thing, man.
An Octo-Man?
It's called the Octo-Man.
Nice. And we're talking before I get fever dream here, like half man, half octo.
Well, let's dive in.
Okay.
I initially found
just
a link.
all man, 8 arms.
I'm picturing like a centaur type thing to where it's the bottom half of a man and the top half of an octopus.
It was such a dart just thrown at the globe, and I was like, oh, perfect. And I initially found a link on Astonishing Legends, a short little blurb about something they mentioned on their podcast. Astonishing Legends is great, by the way. If you like a storytelling podcast, check them out. And then it led me to It's Something Wiki.
It's something Wiki. Wiki. I'll learn how to pronounce words.
It's smf.fandom.com. The Ohio River. We know the Ohio Octopus.
I'm familiar. I crossed that 3 times trying to leave the state, and we were so confused.
And its many tributaries are a hotbed of odd and occasionally dangerous cryptozoological activity. But one of the weirdest creatures ever to have emerged from the murky depths has got to be this hulking, gray-skinned quasi-cephalopod. New favorite word. New favorite Scrabble word. which at least 5 terrified eyewitnesses claimed to have seen during the winter of 1959.
How have we never heard about this?
I
That's the
don't
height of so many
know.
things, you know?
I don't know.
Well, the Ohio River is where secrets go to drown.
Yeah, I know that. I've buried some things in the Ohio River.
The world at large first learned about this moist monstrosity on January 29th, 1959, in an article published in the Cincinnati Post and Times-Star, tantalizingly titled, "What is it? Monster churns up the Ohio." Beneath it, the equally intriguing subheading, "Anyone missing an indescribable monster that swims?"
As someone who took headline courses, bravo.
And indescribable monster is in quotes.
Of course. They're meaning it ironically, or they're stealing it from another paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all AP.
Thus begins the fascinating and all too short saga of the insidious yet little known, indescribable Octo-Man. So there you go. It's very short and little known, apparently. Often and inexplicably lumped in with hairy hominid accounts from the same region and era, this ostensibly amphibious beast was first reported to Ohio's Claremont County and New Richmond police by an unnamed man who claimed that, quote, "something came out of the river." Approximately 4 miles west of New Richmond, according to the spooked eyewitness, the alien life form he saw was utterly indescribable. So that's where that quote came from.
I mean, I don't know how I would describe it.
I mean, an
Well,
Octo-Man
apparently
seems...
Octo-Man,
Yeah.
yeah.
Needless to say, police took this anonymous report with a proverbial grain of salt, but they changed their tune when a second concerned caller, this time a truck driver en route to Indianapolis, phoned from a gas station located on Kellogg Avenue near the bridge on the Little Miami River. The trucker
Now,
claimed that
look, I might be 10 days into my Reds.
I may be getting deep into the Browns from last autumn. The trucker claimed that as he drove from Mount Washington towards Cincinnati, I don't know why I said that like a conehead, Cincinnati, he had spied...
It's impossible to say Cincinnati in a not fun way.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I like to go Italian. Cincinnati. He had spied an unclassified entity unlike anything he had ever seen. In the first of the 2 stories published by Cincinnati Post and Times-Star regarding this inscrutable creature, a dispatcher from Station X, the code for one sergeant and radio operator housed at Central Station in City Hall, Cincinnati, confirmed that the voices of both witnesses were distinct, and he even went on to state, of course, just because local police were pursuing the case doesn't mean that they took it seriously. In fact, another, again unnamed, officer sarcastically speculated that this thing might be from Alien when he was quoted as saying, "It really was a riot here. We kept waiting for someone to say, 'Take me to your leader.'" Oh, sounds like a riot. Regardless of how amused some officials were by the rampant monster reports, most of the dispatchers who responded to the witnesses' calls, including one Frank B. Heisler, agreed that those making the reports sounded legitimately shaken and sober. As if this situation were not already strange enough, right after the creature reports started filtering in, all of the street lamps along Kellogg Avenue from Lunken Airport to Coney Island, Ohio, were extinguished simultaneously, the newspaper report stated.
Weird. Electrical interferences?
While many of the officers were disdainful of the entire affair, some of their more diligent cohorts were in the field, legitimately concerned that what folks were reporting was not a monster but a victim of an automobile accident, according to the Thursday newspaper account.
Oh,
Following day, on January 30th, 1959, the Cincinnati Post and Times-Star once again fed the creature-hungry public, that's us,
it is literally us. Thank you for doing your job.
more details about the roving monstrosity. This article was titled, "Driver Swears It Happened. River Monster Takes a Stroll on Bridge." This reads like a backstory for a Spider-Man comic.
A little bit.
The
I'm on
piece went
board.
on to report that, quote, high winds had caused the power outage, despite the fact that the police had already revealed that the lights were on two different circuits. They also stated that additional reports of the monster came in early on Friday. The January 30th article also included testimony from a man who was identified simply as a, quote, scientist. The scientist asserted that on the morning following the uproar, he was driving across the Licking River, a tributary of the Ohio River that flows into Kentucky, when something leapt onto the bridge. The newspaper published his full description. Let's hear it. That same morning, or perhaps the night before, the accounts are exasperatingly sketchy about correlating specific times and sightings. A young woman claimed to have seen the thing in a creek near Fort Thomas pumping station near the Ohio River in Kentucky. She was the first witness to compare the creature to an octopus. Considering the lack of specific details reported in local papers, it did seem difficult to discern just what the witness saw that compelled her to compare it to an octopus. Did the beast have tentacles, a
Yes,
bulbous octopoid-shaped head, or
maybe.
both, or additional attributes? Unless the eyewitness comes forward, we'll likely never know for sure.
I think in cases like this, you definitely jump on the most definable feature of what you're describing. And I'm going to say it had tentacles. Maybe not the bulbous head, but tentacles for sure. That's what I think about when I think about
An
cephalopods.
octopus.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's what makes it difficult. Maybe it looked like an octopus, but it didn't have tentacles, and people are having trouble kind of grokking that it doesn't have that very definable
Just
characteristic.
had arms covered in suction cups.
Another unidentified woman, who may or may not have been entirely serious, allegedly shouted at Cincinnati Post and Times Star reporter, "We saw that thing this morning. Now you're going to put my news in the paper and call me a crackpot?" The same day, less than 5 miles away in Covington, Kentucky, another woman who clearly saw the creature gave what is by far the most thorough description of the creature in question. Sadly, her story would not be published for another 20 years. When did this happen?
59, 50,
Yeah.
60.
This is
At least that's what I thought you
secondary
said.
sighting, right?
Yeah. 20. Oh, no, it was published 20 years later. I don't know. According to respected cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman, all public accounts of this monster dried up until nearly 2 decades later when ufologist and Bigfoot investigator Dennis Pilchus published a booklet titled Bigfoot, Tales of Unexplained Creatures in 1978. Pilchus, a native of Rome, Ohio, who may have had access to local witnesses, added some essential details regarding the creature which were not covered in the newspaper accounts of the sightings. Pilchus wrote that the woman from Covington saw the thing, quote, bent over, and that she went on to describe a, quote, with cellulite robe, a creature with cellulite lobes running up its bare skull. This
Okay.
slimy, shuffling, colossal mass of organic matter must have been a traumatizing sight to behold. A testament to just how frightening this brief flap was, especially to the children of the region, was published in the Cincinnati Post and Times Star. In it, they stated that an 11-year-old phoned to ask if the, quote, green men really are coming out of the river in groups of 12, as his teacher said they were.
What?
I love this teacher, first
Man,
of all.
people are fucking crazy.
This description, though, is very like Cthulhian, like just a weird mass that we as humans have never true. But I guess that is an octopus, a weird
Well,
mass
I mean,
that is
it's-
weird.
Yeah.
It is definitely like Lovecraftian-esque.
By Saturday, the
people of
police
some
said
kind.
the phone calls had ceased and that the monster has left town, but that declaration might have been a little premature.
Bum bum bum.
In 1982's The Bigfoot Casebook, authors is the word, Janet and Colin Board, report that a motorist by the name of George Wagner claimed to have seen a huge two-legged creature walking on a bridge over the Ohio River sometime in February of 1959 near Covington, Kentucky. One can only assume that this was early in February. With that final report, the malformed, hairless, tendril-bearing, bipedal behemoth seemed to have vanished off the face of the earth. Or perhaps it just slipped back into the muddy depths. of the Ohio River, or one of its seemingly innumerable tributaries, just waiting for a time when it can rise again to wreak havoc.
Oh, just like it, huh? Every 27 years it leaves the river.
Ugh.
Yep.
In the thick of the monster panic, the Claremont County dispatcher Heisler speculated that the eyewitnesses might have seen a tree bobbing up and down in the water. The tree bobbing theory was shared by a local dam lock man.
I'm sorry. What about the time the tree log leaped out of the river and ran on the
William
bridge?
Sprague's seemingly plausible driftwood supposition might explain the youthful lady's Fort Thomas surging octopus sighting. But it certainly does not take into account the facts that neither trees nor waves have feet, fat rolls, or tentacles.
Yes, exactly. Like, I'm fine with a misidentification, especially with the Loch Ness monster, to where like the logs get soaked and air bubbles and they pop back up, bob up and down, go down. It could look like a sea serpent.
Yeah.
But this is reports of an Octo-Man on land going, howdy do. Well, he didn't say howdy do, but you know, they saw him moving on land.
This person goes on in quite some detail and pontification about what this could possibly be, some sort of unknown creature, some sort of descriptions of this ostensibly hybrid beast are not entirely unlike those of the hairy, upright, and diminutive cephalopodan creature lovingly dubbed Octosquatch.
And now there's an Octosquatch. Let me Google that now.
Lumbering aberration. They say it might be some kind of human animal plant hybrid. They also even invoke the name of the Loveland Frogmen, which also had those weird wrinkly heads.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit. They
However,
mention
the frogmen could also cast spells.
That's true. They mention green clawed beast of Ohio that I've also never heard of. This is a real treasure trove of cryptoidian knowledge here. I'll leave it at that, but that concludes it for my segment that I'm calling Jordan versus the Octo-Man.
Thanks for bringing us this new fear.
Yeah, of course. Happy to help. I now pass the skull to somebody else.
I'm going to, like I said, clean the spit valve. The reed is dry. You may suck on it now, Nate, and make this brass woodwind play.
All righty. We've built a monster here out of this brass woodwind.
It's a saxophone. A saxophone is a brass woodwind.
Yes, it's true. I should know I played one in middle school. What y'all know about werewolves in Argentina?
Very little.
Very, very little, to be honest. I thought it would be too hot for them. Well, I guess not southern Argentina.
Well, good, because now we're going to cover it. This is from Travel Arc 2.0.
Nice.
As of December 20th, 2010. If
Recent
in the last
enough.
14 years, werewolves in Argentina have changed.
Do you think they're voting more liberal than they were before? Or did they go the conservative side?
I think that they probably lean conservative.
Boo! Come on, werewolves.
In the UK, if there's a newspaper story about someone having 7 children, you can bet it's a dose of Daily Mail, quote, terrible mother sponges off the state bile. However, in Argentina, it's more likely to be a story about preventing a child from becoming a werewolf.
Oh. That's a big cultural difference.
Massive.
Yeah, that's huge.
The lobizón, or lobizón, is a legend in Argentina that states the 7th son of a family, which, as long as you've had nothing but boys, that 7th one will become a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The wolf, this wolf will then roam the mountains and hills, awaiting interaction with another human. If the human survives the attack, they become a lobizon as well.
Sure. I remember there was a Destination Truth about this. They went and they hung out.
Really?
They hang out with the seventh son of a seventh son all night. And they're like, is he going to turn into a werewolf?
Oh, well, and we're not even to the seventh son of a seventh son because they're
Oh.
guaranteed to be a werewolf.
Yeah, is that like
Okay.
a like
this
an
is just-
underworld when he becomes the ultimate werewolf?
Yeah, it's like a vamp wolf
Yeah,
hybrid.
this is just any seventh son, provided of course that they have no sisters, will potentially be a werewolf. There are reports that this belief in Argentina was so prevalent in the early 1900s that seventh sons were being killed or abandoned.
Oh my.
Yeah, it gets
That's
pretty
modern
gnarly.
times. That's past most industrialization.
I mean, early 1900s.
Okay, that was
I
still a
don't-
wild time.
Yeah, and I don't know that Argentina. I'm pretty sure they didn't have cars yet. To stop this from happening, a law was introduced that says that the Argentinian president would become the godparent of all seventh sons, and that these children would also receive a gold medal at their baptism and a scholarship for their education, up to and including university. Now, as of 2010, that law still in place.
Nice.
Good.
There
Should it
have
come up?
Yeah, should it ever come up, they're prepared.
Yeah. All set.
there have been a few changes over the years within the Casa Rosada, which is apparently the Argentinian White House. It's the Pink House. I'm sure it's actually quite a bit nicer. There's now a Departamento de Padrinazgos Presidenciales, or Department of Presidential Godparenting, even if the work of this government department was suspended in the early 90s, according to La Nación newspaper. There was a shortage of money to pay for the gold medals as a result of the country's crisis. They couldn't pay for enough gold medals for seventh sons that had been
Right.
godparented by the
Sure.
government
Sure.
so that they wouldn't turn into werewolves.
Well, I mean, that's the problem with bureaucracy.
I hate to say it, but yeah, it's what happens, man. Democracies move slow, even in times of seven sons turning into werewolves.
Gotta get those medals out. Cut some money from the budget. Find it.
Do better, Senator.
The werewolf law now applies to the seventh child, whether male or female, although in a country in which abortion is still illegal. I'm not sure that addressing, and that's not me, that is the author, I'm not sure that addressing this particular anomaly in reproductive rights is really a priority.
Fair.
Apparently, some presidents, on being newly elected, also receive a sudden flourish of godparent applications from those parents 7 times over who didn't fancy having a tyrant in the godparent role and were awaiting a kinder, more progressive post holder.
Ah.
In line with the deep political cynicism of Argentina, I have found reports that the Padrino law in 1907, or this is the Godfather law,
Okay.
was really a way of bribing people to populate and strengthen Argentina. Presidents have also had an alleged tendency to be much more likely to attend in person the baptisms of their soon-to-be godchildren around election time. No shit.
This is crazy how weirdly political this got. Like in terms of like child raising and all that, we're like, no, the government stepped in and changed how children are to be children did.
And not
Children
even the
did.
full government, specifically the president.
Yeah, like such. If I was president, I'd do this straight up. Better
Would be
than
the first
declaring
move.
wars.
Sure. Werewolves. Let's
Me-
get it taken care of once and for all.
Roger Norquist on the werewolf platform. Let's
Mhm.
deal with them finally.
Come howl
Well-
with me, says Werewolf
I mean-
Radar candidate. Boy, it would be fucked up if the more kids you had, like the more like Xeroxed they became.
Like reproduction was a straight up copy, and
Yeah,
it was multiplicity. When you get to the seventh one, they still can do
yeah,
stuff, but they need
yeah.
help.
They're chuds. Yeah.
The article goes on to talk about a movie called Nazareno Cruz El Lobo, aka Nazareno Cruz and the Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And this is apparently a,
Serena Cruz, a Lobo, baby.
Nazareno. I'm Googling her right now to watch this movie.
I mean, it sounds kind of dope. It's, I think, the second highest grossing Argentinian film.
Shut up.
It tells the story of what happens to a boy whose father and six brothers have left town, leaving both him and his mother to cope with the prospect of him becoming a werewolf.
Whoa.
The film is super saturated with dodgy 1970s production values, so,
It's literally what I love most in cinema. This movie was only made for me in the modern era.
yeah. Most evidently long, soft focus, hair flicking scenes set
Yep.
to the tune of Soleado. Uh,
I love it.
but what we need to talk about is that less than 10 years ago, an Argentinian president did have to adopt a werewolf.
Yes. I love this place. Jordan, can we go to Argentina?
Yes. Away.
Okay.
So this is the story of Argentinian President Cristina Fernandez de Kirchner. Officially, in the December 29th of 2014. So right as the world took a turn into a new year-ish.
I still had 2 more days, but newish.
Yeah. It was reported that the adoption was connected to an ancient legend or myth where the seventh son born after six boys becomes a werewolf. Turns out there's a custom involving Argentina's president taking godchildren, and a myth about werewolves, and other than involving seven sons, they are unrelated, according to a report in The Guardian.
Once
It
again,
is
I do like
fucking
how
hot.
the president takes it upon themselves to deal with this werewolf situation.
And they have to. It's by law. According to Argentinian custom, again, not a custom, it's a law. The country's president takes the seventh child of Argentine families as a godchild. The honor only applied to Catholic children before '09. However, that has changed. According to reports, Kirchner took Jair Tawil as a godson after his parents were initially denied in their request in 1993. So,
Damn.
yeah.
And just rejection to
I,
we're
I
like, no,
assume,
sorry, you got a werewolf. That's your problem. You're not Catholic.
I assume 93 is when the kid was born. He's also Jewish. I don't know if that plays a particular role, maybe.
I think it does for some Catholics,
Probably
unfortunately.
does. Earlier reports, including one in UPI, I am guessing that's their national paper, explain that according to Argentinian legend, the seventh son in a daughterless family will turn into a werewolf on his 13th birthday. Now, this is, we get back into people killing their sons before their 13th birthday on the off chance that they would fucking turn into a werewolf. The local myth of the lobizón is not in any way connected to the custom that began over 100 years ago, by which every seventh son, or at this point, seventh daughter born in Argentina, becomes godchild to the president.
It had nothing to do with that? What? Wait, what?
Well, that's what they're saying.
I guess. Okay.
According to Balmaceda, who's a guy who is an Argentine historian, the later custom was actually started in the early 1900s by German and Russian emigres who brought the tradition to Argentina from Europe.
I can see that.
I don't remember ever hearing about seventh sons being Murdered for werewolfery?
Nor I. But there you go.
The custom became official law in 74, unrelated to werewolves. And that's the high and low of it, I suppose.
I still can't believe that this is so ingrained in the government.
Yeah, the fucking president has to go to the baptisms of every seventh child.
And it doesn't seem like it's a political play for votes, or maybe it is. I don't know. I'm an American of the north part of it, and Latin American politics is confusing for us for so many reasons.
Except for the part about the seventh son becoming a godson to the mayor. That makes perfect sense. It's the president, sorry.
But like, wow, it doesn't seem like this is for buying of votes. You know, it just seems like it's a duty that the president must do, and then they campaign on top of that. It doesn't seem like they're out here scoring votes. They're just taking care, or godfathering.
It shows a belief in magic that I look for in a candidate.
And they are keeping werewolves off the streets.
Yeah. He becomes a godson. That's important.
You don't want a 13-year-old child turning into a wolf person?
Yeah. Or do you, Roger?
Well, let's look back at Teen Wolf. The TV show, not the movies.
Teen Wolf was like, the TV show.
Of course the movies, never the TV show. Okay. I mean, it doesn't always turn out bad, but he was like, 16? He was a little bit more mature. Not that 16-year-olds are mature in any way, but...
Right.
Yeah, I think he was a high school senior.
But it was scary for him. It'd be nice to have a president come to your home and go, listen to me. I don't know how to say godson in Spanish, but listen to me, godson.
Hijo Dios.
Yeah, I was thinking that, but correct us in the comments. It seems cool to have that option to be like, you got some werewolf problems, maybe you're growing too much facial hair, give the president a call. I also don't know what grandparents do. Is that something you would go to a godparent?
Sure. I think it's more of a legal designation for the distribution of
child.
It's Padre Nosgos, by the way.
Thank you.
Godparent.
Well, there you go.
I'm very fascinated by this, and I'm going to do more looking into this just for my own knowledge. I did not know this existed in a political policy in any country.
Is there anything else people need to know about the logistics of being a werewolf in Argentina?
Oh, there's plenty, but Argentinian Teen Wolf will, I'm sure, have it taken care of.
It's not a reboot. It's an original show only for Argentinian werewolves.
Yeah, you can only get it on Argentinian Netflix unless you have that one VPN everyone uses. Switch to Argentina. Watch Argentinian Werewolf.
I use the bunker's own VPN. It's free, as you know, the cost has already been paid.
And it puts your address as redacted, California.
So you still can't watch Friends.
Listening to another episode of Werewolf Radar. We treasure you. We appreciate you. If you're just joining us, check us out on Twitch. Check us out on Threads. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on werewolfradar.com. Check us out on patreon.com, where you can get an extra episode every week. Shout out to Chuck from Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro song. Roger, what am I forgetting about?
Make sure you subscribe to the YouTubes, the video up there where you can see sources and silly pictures as it's created. And I think that's really it, werewolfradar.com.
Discord. Join our Discord.
Yeah.
We have fun on Discord. There's a new Bigfoot video. All kinds of shit's happening.
Links in the YouTube description. I can't get it to work right on the podcast description for some reason.
Let's go to Discord right now.
Okay.
Let's all go there.
Feel free to join our gaming.
Yeah, join us in gaming. If you're hanging on Discord, you can pretty much join us in any and all of our gamings.
Yes, it's open to the people, and then a dark council room for you Patreon members, where you get the secret links that we don't send other people to the bunker so you can hang out.
Right. That does it for another episode of Werewolf Radar. Thank you so much for joining us. On the count of three, our sign-off line. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky,
Spaceman Joe.
Joe.